Hello and welcome back to my final video of Foster Care Awareness Month. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I have touched on a little bit but haven't done a full video on. Somebody did ask me to do it, so I think it is fitting to do it during Foster Care Awareness Month, and that is, what are some of the reasons that foster families tend to quit within the first year of fostering? So if you're interested in that, stick around. But first, if you are new here, my name is Anna Leonora, and together with my husband Jason, we are foster parents and adoptive parents in real life. And here on my channel, From the Fosters, we do foster and adoptive parenting life together, and we raise awareness for the foster care system and for foster parenting. So if any of that interests you, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel down below. While you're down there, don't forget to hit your post notification bell so that you won't miss when I post any new videos like this, and so you can join my growing cyber family here on YouTube. So this is an interesting one. A very large percentage of foster families quit fostering in the first year. Why is that? There's a lot of reasons. I'm going to try to kind of keep it brief because for Foster Care Awareness Month, I was trying to do a lot of smaller, more brief videos, but this one probably could get very lengthy. I think foster families are not given enough preparation for how difficult it really is. I think foster families are not given enough support from the agency, from their own families, their own communities. I think the system being so broken is very challenging for a lot of foster families to reconcile in their own mind. I think people go into it with good intentions, but maybe without their eyes fully open. I think a lot of the biases and stereotypes that are still out there play a big part in it. You know, when you're going through your foster care training classes, they tell you these kids have trauma and they tell you these kids have behaviors, but there's no way to really prepare you for the behaviors that trauma in a child causes in your life, like the issues that that's going to cause in your home and in your life and the things that it's going to disrupt. There's no way to prepare you for that. But I can say, from doing my own foster care training and some of the things that I have seen now with the kids that we've had, we were not prepared. I was not prepared. The behaviors are so incredibly challenging. And if you are not ready for a tornado to rip your life and your home and your family apart, maybe fostering isn't for you. My own husband and I have struggled a little bit in the last 3 years. We're coming up on 3 years. I think 4 years. Hold on, now I gotta do this math. 3 years. We're coming up on 3 years as foster family. And in that time, we have had our own struggles. I can't say for certain that it was because of the foster children, but certainly the stress that comes with the behaviors of the children and the stress that comes with the children didn't help. We are good now, but it's common that people who become foster parents have spousal issues. It doesn't just happen with foster parents. It happens when couples have a baby. If there's not a strong foundation, or if there's a crack or a fissure in that relationship, having kids just blows that wide open. But I think having children of trauma who have these big behaviors and all these issues, it's that much worse. And there's no, at least where I live, there's no like marriage counseling offered to you. There's no specialists out there that I have been able to find, at least in my area, who specialize in helping couples and families who are fostering, and the sort of added layer of issues that brings. So that's one issue, is that couples sometimes aren't prepared for that, and they want to save their marriage, and that's valid. That's incredibly valid. Their marriage has to come first, because if your marriage isn't in a good place and you're fighting all the time, you're not going to be the strongest and best that you can be for those children anyway. But yeah, I think that's a big issue. I think another big issue is that foster families don't get a ton of support. Where I live, we have a wonderful foster closet who, we actually have two. We have one in our county and one in the neighboring county, who are wonderful and fabulous and have done so much for us. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to find true respite, because all of the foster families are full. All of the foster homes are full. So to find someone who can truly do respite for you is hard. To find babysitters who are trauma informed is almost impossible. To find family members willing to take in your trauma children for long periods of time, almost impossible. And even family support. Like, we've had family support us, but we also have family who at times have questioned our decisions. You know, why are you doing this? And family who weren't quite sure how to handle the children. And so it makes that sort of family blending not so seamless. So finding real support is hard. And you can find support from other foster families. I have a wonderful Facebook group of like the local foster moms that I'm friends with, and we kind of write each other back and forth, and we keep in touch, and that's a great resource. But there's only so much we can do for each other because we're all tapped out. You know what I mean? And then I think another really big piece is just the system being broken. People go into it with good intentions. They want to help children. They want to help families. But they see how broken this system is, and they see how little support they're going to get from the social workers. They see how really nobody tries to dispel any of these stereotypes about foster families to the bio families. And there are times where social workers will just allow bio families to believe these horrible, horrific things about foster families, and it can cause a lot of tension between the foster and bio families. There's also, you know, issues of children that maybe should have been removed sooner than they were, or families being given so many chances and so much time, and children just sort of languishing in the system without permanency, or, you know, not the system not giving bio families enough resources or enough chances. I mean, it kind of can go both ways. The system is so broken in so many ways, and being part of it will really wear you down. It'll wear anybody down. That's why social worker turnover rate is so high. Foster parent turnover rate is so high. It's just really challenging. So there's a lot of really, really hard things that happen in foster care, and not quite as many happy stories. And I think that's why people stop. At some point you get compassion fatigue for bio families, for the children, for social workers. At some points you want to fight like hell for children, for bio families, for social workers. And other times you just don't have the energy to barely make it through the day. And those sort of like ups and downs are a lot for some people to handle. They're a lot for anybody to handle, but they're too much for a lot of people to handle. And nobody prepares you for all of that. as a foster family. They give you some sort of like vague idea that these children are going to have trauma and they're going to have behaviors, but they don't give you real trauma training. All the trauma training I had, I did on my own. I found on my own. I paid for myself. I participated on my own, and I figured it out myself. And that was super helpful. And I wish there was more of that in foster parent training. I wish there was some of that, you know, even provided to bio parents who are going through this. I think the training, the TBRI, which is trauma-based relational intervention, is super good. Certain books like The Whole Brain Child, The Body Keeps the Score, The Connected Child, there's sort of all these resources out there. And I say all these like there's a lot. There's not a lot. There's some really good resources out there that I think a lot of foster families and a lot of bio families would really benefit from, but we weren't provided those. I had to find them on my own. And one of these days I'll do a video kind of showing you guys some of the books that I've read that have really been helpful for me, or explaining some of the trainings like the TBRI training I just mentioned that have been helpful for me. But I think overall, they give you sort of a vague, general, surfacey idea of how hard it's going to be, but they don't really get into the nitty gritty of how hard it's going to be. And I think when that hard reality hits is when people say, I just can't do this anymore. And that's a different breaking point for every family. For some families, it's having a child for over a year and that child not receiving permanency with you, but being given to a family member who now hasn't had that child for the whole last year, and that child is bonded with you and your family, and now they're having another broken connection to go off with a family member who maybe hasn't ever met them or hasn't been part of their life up until recently or at all. That heartbreak sometimes is what does it for people. The really big behaviors of children threatening you, destroying your home, destroying your property, running away, threatening your other children, your animals, you know, things like that. Sometimes that does it for people. The strain it puts on a marriage sometimes does it for people. It's really different for everyone what does it for people. But because there's a lot of different things that it could be, I think that's one of the reasons that there's just so many different things that it could be. And that's why I think people go into it with good intentions, but just aren't prepared enough. And a lot of people quit pretty quickly. If not within the first year, within the first 3 or 5 years. There's very few families that you will find who have been fostering for 5+ years. They're out there, they exist. But I think the vast majority of foster families foster for 5 or less years. And actually the biggest percentage is families who quit within the first year is the biggest percentage. So I hope that helped answer your question. I know this one was a little bit more of a downer video, but this is why I wanted to make it during Foster Care Awareness Month, because we need change. We need more support for bio families. We need more support for foster families, a lot more support for foster families. We need more support, more funding for social workers so that we can get more social workers, decrease their caseloads, pay them appropriately for the work that they do. The whole system really needs to be revamped. How we go about doing that, I have no idea. I'm not a legislator. I just know that it needs to be done. And until all of that happens, the system's going to remain broken. We're going to continue to have foster families that quit at very high rates. And the people who suffer most in all of this are the children. So that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing, because I want to raise awareness. I want to turn people on to being foster families. And so I talk a lot about a lot of the positive, a lot of the fun, a lot of the beautiful, a lot of the things that can come from it that are positive and happy. But I think that it's important that if you are going to become a foster family, that you also know all of these other things and be prepared for them. Because if you're not prepared for them, they can break you, or at very least make you want to quit or make you actually quit fostering. So I hope this was helpful. I know it wasn't the most exciting or happy video, but I think it's educational and I think it's important. If you have any questions about this, leave them for me down below, as always. Or if you have any other questions for me, if there's any other videos you'd like to see from me, you can leave them down below, or you can go find me on Instagram at From the Fosters. My DMs are open there. They always are, so you can go DM me over there as well if you don't want to leave like a public comment down below on my YouTube. Otherwise, I hope you got some value from this video. I hope you continue to go out and shine your light into the world. Just because Foster Care Awareness Month is coming to a close does not mean that we are done. Making videos. Next month is June. It's Pride Month. So we will do some fun stuff for Pride as well. Otherwise, until next time, I hope you continue to go out and shine your light into the world. I love you all.